We navigate a digital universe with absolutely no borders. You click a link and instantly jump from a server in Tokyo to one in New York. But in the 1980s, computers were isolated islands. To see exactly how isolating this was, look at this aerial view of CERN in Switzerland. CERN is the European Organization for Nuclear Research, home to massive particle accelerators. Scientists from 20 different nations gathered here to discover the ultimate nature of matter, but they brought their own distinct computer systems. One team used a Unix mainframe, another used an IBM floppy disk, and someone had printouts in German. None of these machines spoke the same language. At the frontier of physics, progress often depended on whether a researcher could locate the right 8-inch floppy disk inside a locked metal cabinet. The standard fix for this at the time was a program called CERNDoc, which relied on a hierarchical system. A hierarchical system is a method of organizing data in a rigid, top down structure, much like a physical filing cabinet. This diagram illustrates the problem, forcing users to think like machines, placing documents into strict paths of folders. But human minds don't work in top down trees. Memory relies on random associations. When forced into rigid boxes, the system violently rejects anything that doesn't fit. Connecting global knowledge meant abandoning the machine's architecture. We needed a system designed to mirror the human brain. Enter a young programmer named Tim Berners-Lee. He grew up watching his parents program early Turing machines and spent his teenage years building his own computers out of spare factory reject transistors. While working at CERN, Berners-Lee decided to strip away the folders entirely. Instead of forcing data into containers, he proposed a system where a user could simply staple any two pieces of information together. This non-linear approach to data was something he learned at home. Look at this complex associative tracking of time. His mother created this concentric circular calendar to record their family's year. It captured events exactly as they came, building up a picture of the whole system without forcing it into a grid. Information holds almost no meaning in total isolation. The true value comes from the unique, unpredictable relationships formed between individual data points. Berners-Lee mapped out the mechanics for this idea in a 1989 proposal he initially called MESH. His solution combined the physical internet, the cables and protocols connecting computers, with hypertext, a system of clickable text links that allow users to jump non-linearly between documents. Notice how this diagram visually rejects the hierarchical tree. Instead, he drew a decentralized map. Any node could link to any other node, creating a sprawling web of arrows connecting concepts like hypertext and sun. To make this web function, he wrote a specific line of code called the URL. A URL, or Uniform Resource Locator, is a naming system that encodes all the instructions needed to link to any piece of data anywhere in the world. This animated text string shows exactly how a URL functions. The left side of the text represents the physical network, pointing your computer toward a specific server sitting somewhere on the globe. The right side of the identifier represents the exact hypertext document or file you want to pull from that specific server. And right in the middle sits the hash sign. This symbol is the precise junction where the global network meets the individual document. The code for this junction was written on this sleek black machine, a NextCube computer in a small room at CERN. Berners-Lee designed it as an open source, permissionless tool, ensuring no single corporation owned the pathways. By building a universal portal instead of a new filing cabinet, Berners-Lee engineered a platform holding the collective creative output of the human race. The World Wide Web exploded in the 1990s. It enabled decentralized intercreativity, allowing anyone on the planet to link, share, and collaborate across cultural borders. But over the last 2 decades, tech giants and social media platforms have hoarded this free flowing data, pulling it back into centralized servers. Watch how this hoarding breaks the web's intended architecture. We're recreating the exact same rigid trees and walled gardens that the web was specifically designed to destroy. The decentralized web has shifted into a series of closed platforms that harvest private data for commercial brokers and authoritarian governments. Berners-Lee is currently fighting to save the internet with a new system called the Solid Protocol. Solid, or social linked data, is a web specification that lets users store their personal data in decentralized pods rather than handing it over to tech monopolies. Watch how this animated model breaks the monopoly. Corporate silos shatter, and the information is returned to individual user controlled nodes. This restores the web to its decentralized roots, giving you control over who sees your information. Modern AI systems now rely on the web for their training data, making the source of that information more valuable than ever. We must demand systems where AI agents interact with our data through explicit trust and user privilege. The internet is not a finished product resting in the hands of monopolies. It is an unfinished story. The architecture of our digital freedom is still ours to write.